Good morning, it's Grandpa Butler. Nice to have you with me this morning. I'm going to do a picture of an elephant here. And for the elephant itself, we're going to have a bright yellow and an English red, and this raw sienna. There's a raw umber here, maybe dark brown. And this is ochre, I think, here. Then for the mountains, we're going to have ultramarine blue, yep, and a light blue, turquoise blue, it's called, and a salmon, kind of pinkish color. And then for the foreground, where grasses, we're going to use these colors. We use this russet for the kind of dirt in front of the grass. There we go. Cool. So we've sketched out the elephant. We've skipped that part. We want to start working on the elephant because that's our main object in this picture. So let's, we're going to get some, what will be our principal highlight color here, which is this kind of darker ochre here. And come through here with some lines. Now notice that I draw the lines kind of in the same direction that I pinned in some of the features because I like using some of the pigment that's left behind as a kind of texture device here in drawing my figures using this form of art. Let's put in the lighter ochre here. Maybe this is called golden ochre, who knows. And do that at the top and here and on the back here. It's more exposed, the edges, more exposure to sun. So I find that these watercolor crayons are very easy to clean up, very easy, very portable. So it's just a matter of getting used to working with them. And because you can take them wherever you go. So it's both the drawing with the crayon and then the use of the watercolor brush to activate the colors that are kind of both fun aspects of this art here. So I'm coming up here with our darker browns. Let's see if we can put a little bit of, oh, you know what? This looks like a kind of brownish red. Let's put that in the ears to distinguish it between the area underneath. In case you didn't catch that, it was kind of a sudden change in my coloring strategy on the go here. So these are new to Grandpa Butler, and so I just started working with these watercolor crayons in May of 2021 and been a little busy, so I haven't been able to do it as much as I want to, but it seems to be a lot of fun where I can do it here. Okay, let's put some dark brown in here. This is the raw umber. Okay, and let's make his toenails here kind of like his trunk here, just to help them stand out here, like his tusks, more like his tusks than his trunk. Okay, come up here, get some dark, some of this reddish brown here, and some of this very dark here both. So when we light them up together, this is some contrast here between different body parts on our elephant here. Okay. And okay, so let's see what we've got so far. Putting a little bit of color there. So I'm using this kind of brush. It's just very portable. I find it's worked quite well. But again, all of this is a new experiment for Grandpa Butler, so I am quite open to your experiences and would love to hear from you. I presume, although I haven't operated this YouTube channel more than a couple weeks, less than that actually, presume that you can leave me a message if you choose, saying, I find that when I do this, it works out much better. I would like to find out what your much better approach is. And one would be to keep your object kind of in the middle of the frame. Thank you. Now, see, I saved you a little bit of work here. Okay, so we're kind of lighting it up, and I'm leaving some pigment behind, you'll notice, because, quite on purpose, because I like that kind of texture thing there. Also dipping my brush here frequently and coming across here. Here's the forehead and working our way out here along the ears. Okay, so this is sort of our basic first two steps. We draw them and then we color them, and then everything else is going to be in the background. Working from lighter to darker frequently, or from some kind of edge out, dark to light, light to dark, seems to work pretty good for me. Okay, so there we have the basics of our elephant. Now let's start on our mountains here. So we're going to pick a line, and if our mountain line goes kind of through our elephant here, then that's probably an okay thing, right? So to do mountains with crayons, pretty easy. You can just come down, do up and down lines, and there may be steep sections here. And then if you want to put in a ridge, you can do a bunch of triangles and kind of connect them there, and as we did there. Now let's put some lines going down like that. Okay, so we're going up here with a kind of mountain ridge. Put some lines here and lines there. Now this is the ultramarine blue. It seems like it's going to be a nice contrast here with our elephant's colors. But Grandpa, every picture Grandpa does is a new experiment, and so Grandpa and you will have to decide if it's a failed experiment or not so bad, or just kind of failed. That's your two options: failed experiment or kind of failed experiment. So we have that, and that's a lovely color. We'd like to give it a little bit of jazz here, so on some sections here I'll put a little bit of this turquoise blue, That's right. And to jazz it up here. Even with a single color, you can, by cleverly using your brush and Grandpa, so you'll be much more clever than Grandpa is. You can move pigment around in interesting shapes. And the third thing that's kind of pinkish salmon color here is just to give a little bit of color to the mountains. When you look at them in the distance, right, they're kind of really subtle shades of this color and that color. And today we're trying these three colors, the turquoise and the salmon and ultramarine blue here. I'm trying to get this kind of lighter color as if the sun is hitting these things out here and doing more reflection on the peaks and on the sides facing the left-hand side. So we've got that in, and I think what we ought to do is we ought to activate these colors. We do that by getting our watercolor brush. You can easily use regular watercolor brushes. Again, I just find this one a little bit very portable and sufficient for my needs, but in the limited time I've been doing this with watercolor crayons, soluble crayons, it's been convenient and easy to clean up and easy to take care of. And the handle, you can put water in the handle and squeeze it out. So if you didn't want to carry your water cup with you, you could easily do that. I just find the water cup is a bit quicker. So for these video things that we're doing here, exploring the wonderful world of watercolor crayons, these are just working out really well. Okay, so we've got the background. So the main object's the elephant, of course. So now what we need to do is we need to get the foreground of involving the grass, the high grasses that this elephant walks through. So what we're going to do is we're going to come through and spend a lot of time doing this. What Grandpa should have done is before he did this, could have spent time. So what Grandpa's going to do, he's going to move the dirt up, and the dirt's going to be right here by just in front of the elephant here. So we can do the usual cheating tricks here of painting that dirt kind of all of one color with a few dabs of this and that to be rocks here and there. You can imagine if you could take your time, if you weren't just doing this in real time on a video, you could do it even better in the sense that it could be, well, during the commercials, right? When you're watching whatever you're watching these days, you just do that. And notice I'm trying to make little lines up and down because I'm going to get my watercolor brush and use that to, to brush these out, but not brush all the stroke fully out. I'm leaving the stroke out to get a sense of sort of the grassy growth being up and down, that impression of growth. And right here in the front, maybe I'll have, I know what I'll do. I'll make a shadow of our elephant here, and a shadow where this grass meets the dirt here. So here's our dirt. What did I choose? I got a russet for dirt. Let's see how that goes. So I got a russet here, and I'll put a few kind of little bit of objects here and there. Mostly I'm going horizontally in strokes here, and the idea is it's level dirt, but where I stop and do something a little bit more solid, the idea there is that of stone or dirt clod or something. So let's start down there with these. And here I could stroke a little bit more horizontal strokes, dissolve a little bit more pigment than I did when I was doing the mountains. And when I go around the rock, maybe not stroke around them, but just dab them. So dab the rocky kinds of objects that are in the dirt here in the foreground. And then a little bit of a shadow here where the grass is meeting the dirt. And then I'm going to turn this sideways here because I want to go sideways on that. I want to go up and down. So I turn it this way, it's going to be up and down. So dab along the edge here. Let's activate all that color there along the edge kind of uniformly and not drag it into the picture too much. Dip our brush, come back for the grass. And then two final stages here. We're going to put a shadow in. Shadows frequently help put ground, as it were, the object that you're working on, and provide a sense of kind of realism here. We'll assume that it's pretty close to midday, and so we'll put the shadow in, and then we'll put a few touches here and there on that. Okay, so we got the shadow to do yet. Choose that same color we used for the bottom there. So we'll put our elephant here. Let's put the sun a little bit coming in from the left, and that will, and we can have the one foot up and the other three legs down, and the elephant's coming out like this, a big beautiful body like that, and the head here, and maybe, okay, so that's the shadow of our elephant here. And then for the final step, oops, a little bit more water than I wanted. Like real shadows, right? There's spots where they're a bit uneven, and in the dirt, and even in a little bit in the grass. So that's all good and fine. So the other thing that we want to do, we want to add a sort of African look to the tree lines back here. So let's just do a few trees here. And some detail here. Grandpa has a little bit of neuropathy, and so see him shaking. He's all right. You don't have to call the local healthcare workers and come to his studio, his office here. And okay, so we got trees. So the final thing that we're going to do here, go up there. Just write impressions. The final thing here is we're going to do a little bit of touch-ups here and there of the grasses. Yeah, a little bit of the grasses here. Come back and highlight the elephant's outline, his key features, his or her key features, and just sign off on it, right? Hey, I think that turned out kind of okay. Hope my grandkids love it, and hope that you're all taking good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.